Hi guys. Hoping everyone is still doing all right. For this lesson, it's important that you guys have watched the computer virus and antivirus video first. So if you have not done so, make sure you exit out of this video and play the computer virus and computer antivirus video first, and then come back to this video where we will be talking about computer threats. Um, Now, computer threats is a general term for what can happen, what bad things can happen, threaten a computer. Um, and it's more broad. Like I said, it's more general. While something like a virus is something specific, it's a computer virus. But there are other things that we're going to go over in this video, such as computer worms and things like that, that can also damage a computer. Now, I explained in the other video, I briefly talked about in the other video that that there's also physical damage that can happen to computers through natural disasters and things like that. So we are going to learn about that in this video. If you give me just 1 second, I'm going to share my screen. And you guys will be able to see the PowerPoint, which once again, just like every other PowerPoint, it will be in your modules for you guys to look at and go through yourself after you watch this video for any information you might need from there. So here we go. So the PowerPoint should look like this: Computer Threats by Mr. Palmieri. So there's going to be different types of threats. Like I said, a computer threat is classified into 2 different types of threat. The first one is an accidental threat. This is something that we can't avoid, something like an earthquake, a fire, a storm, things like that. The second type of threat for a computer is an intentional threat, which it usually comes in the form of computer viruses, hackers, computer worms, things like that. And so the first one that we're going to be going over is the accidental threats. So hurricanes and other big storms can cause catastrophic data loss through power surges, physical damage from high winds, flooding, things like that. Power surges can damage delicate computer hardware and cause the electronics of the drive electronics of a hard disk to stop functioning. So that means that the physical damage to the drive can stop it from working. And I'm sure most of you know to keep electronics away from water and things like that. And it's specifically for reasons like this. If you put any computer chip or anything like that, you expose it to water, you expose it to anything that can be found in a storm, really, it will damage the computer disk, of course. But the only difference is obviously we can't stop or avoid any natural disasters. Earthquakes can also cause severe data loss through physical damage to the drives, and fires can cause issues not only with the heat destroying the drives, but also with ash and smoke particles ending up in the disk itself. So when you think about water damage to a computer, that's very obvious. You know, like I said, you guys keep your electronics away from water. And they should be kept away from things like smoke and ash as well, because that can also damage a computer. Computer chips and things like that are very sensitive. Now, is there a way to prevent the damage? Not once it's done, but so here it says, there's no sort of computer software that can recover functions or data in your computer that are lost through physical damage once it happens. However, there are ways to back up your information in case of the damage, so that's before the damage even happens, right? So offsite backup is one of the primary weapons against catastrophic data loss, and it prevents all of your data from being just in one place, being your computer. So you can back it up into a second place. there's two types of offsite backups that we're going to talk about. One is a cloud backup, and the other is a tape backup. Um, I don't expect you guys to use tape backups or be familiar with them, but cloud backups, I'm sure that most of you guys know what they are. Usually for tape backups, and I'll explain it again later, but it's usually companies that use that kind of stuff, and I'll talk about why. So a cloud backup is an online storage website that allows you to store your files, data, or any sort of information from your computer. Online clouds can also back up your computer functions. So that means that you can store the information on how a software operates, how anything operates in your computer. And usually, businesses use things like this because businesses have softwares on whether it's their cash registers, or maybe if you guys have seen stores where like the employees use like a little iPad or a cell phone of some sort that they track information for their products and stuff. In order to back up the functions of those things, they put them on either a cloud backup or a tape backup, and it'll save their entire software rather than just the information on it. So yeah, think of it as an online USB. So you can simply log on to the website where you stored your information and recovered anything that you may have lost on it. We can do this as well. And I didn't post any link about this or anything, but if you guys, there's actually a website that many people use for an online cloud, and it's called Dropbox. I'm sure even some of your teachers use it. I use it myself. So you can just, if you guys want to see how it works, you can go on dropbox.com, and I believe it's free to have an account on there, and you can store anything. You can store your classwork assignments, anything like that, onto dropbox.com, and it's basically like having a USB online on the internet. Then we have tape backup. The name tape backups comes from the use of tape recorders that saved all computer information, and that's actually still how they're used with actual tape. These are physical cassette tapes that can save even the functions of computer programs, not just information, so they operate pretty much the same way as clouds. That means I'm sorry, not that means, but tapes are obviously older than the cloud backups, and believe it or not, they are actually cheaper to have than the cloud ones. The cloud accounts that businesses use and stuff like that, they can get really expensive, while the tape backup, you just buy the physical tape and that's it. All right, so intentional threats, these are going to be, I'm going to list 4 of them, which we're going to go over. None that we haven't, I'm not going to list any that we've gone over already. So the first one is a Trojan horse. The second is a computer worm. The third is spyware, and the fourth is keystroke logging or key logging, and I'll explain that a little bit later. Now I'm going to pair them up to each other so that they make a little bit more sense. I kind of separated them to like which two go together better, and so I paired up Trojan horse and computer worm. In computing, a Trojan horse is any malware which misleads users of its true intent. The term is derived from ancient Greek story, the ancient Greek story of the deceptive Trojan horse that led to the fall of the city of Troy. So pretty much the Greeks, in this story, the Greeks were at war with the city of Troy, and they wanted a way to finish this war, and they misled them by they took a boat with a big wooden horse on it. They shipped the horse onto close to the city of Troy and told them that it was like a peace offering, and that the war was over, and that was their way of kind of like giving them a trophy or something like that. They give them this great big wooden horse. The Trojans took the horse in and kept it as a trophy, and they were celebrating. And then at night, there were actually Greek soldiers inside the horse who came out and pretty much won the war unfairly while everybody was asleep. Anyway, in computing, there is the exact same thing. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a website or something like that, or an app maybe on your phone, and it'll tell you, congratulations, you know, you've won a prize for this and that. Click here for to claim your prize or something like that. And the moment that you click on that website, you know, your computer can be attacked through a virus or something like that. And it's actually more common than what you guys think. There's a lot of misleading links on social media and the internet, so you guys have to be very careful for these as well. Computer Worm is a standalone malware computer program that replicates itself in order to spread to other computers. It often uses a computer network to spread itself, relying on security failures on the target computer to access it. And it will use this machine as a host to scan and infect other computers. So that's a lot of like technical vocabulary, and to make it simpler, computer worms are kind of like a virus that that isn't sent from one person to another, but rather that it's just sent into a computer network, which computer network is the same way that the internet works. It travels through like this invisible web that we don't see, and it takes a computer and it does its damage, and then it uses its IP address and goes onto another computer and so on, damaging them, which is why it's important to have virus scanners. And then the last two are spyware and keystroke logging. So spyware is a type of malware that aims to gather information about a person or organization without their knowledge and send such information to hack into another entity without the consumer's consent. In a nutshell, it's kind of like listening to a conversation that someone's having in another room, except you're doing it through a computer. You're literally listening. You know, you activate the microphone on a computer, you activate the camera on a computer and listen in to what somebody is saying. But what you're doing is stealing the information that they put into their computer, and then you use that information to hack into their personal accounts or whatever it may be. Fun story, well, not really fun, but true story that happened to me. I used to have a Twitter account many, many years ago. The last time I used my Twitter account was in the year 2014, and in the year 2015, my account was hacked into. I don't know whether it was because of spyware or whatever it was. My account was hacked into. They changed my profile picture. They changed everything and turned it kind of like into like an advertising Twitter to advertise some products. And I didn't know about this until I tried logging into my Twitter and recently, actually, and it wasn't letting me log in. I didn't know why. I looked up my account from somebody else's account, and it still said my name, but it wasn't my account anymore. Then keystroke logging or key logging, also known as keyboard capturing. It's the action of recording the keys being struck on a keyboard secretly, so that the person using the keyboard is unaware that their actions are being monitored. The data can then be retrieved by the person operating the logging program, meaning stealing that information or recording that information. Now, there's two ways to look at keystroke logging. There is a good way to use it and a bad way to use it, as in a malicious way to use it. So Sorry, I'm just gonna fix up my camera there. Okay, so for the good way that you can use keystroke logging is actually the exact same way that you guys use your social media, where it saves your username and it saves your password. That's the exact same thing as key logging. It actually is key logging that you're using for your social media sites or whatever it is. Sometimes, you know, you might want to, when you're checking out at Amazon, you want to stop clicking, typing in all your credit card information. So you want to save that information on there. That's key logging. It's going to like auto fill your information for you and things like that. But when it's used maliciously, it's kind of like carbon copying. When you have like one sheet of paper in front of another, and then whatever you write on that sheet of paper, you throw away, but there's still a copy there. And what hackers do and everything is that they take this copy and use it for whatever reason. So that's going to be the end of this video. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message on Canvas or come visit me during my office hours. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take it easy.